Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel, and happy Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you're all right. Hope you're all okay. You're having a good week so far. In this video, we're going to be talking about a report that came out probably about half an hour to an hour ago surrounding Ange Postecoglou and the unlikeliness that we have an answer to his future this week. We're also going to be doing a bit of a loan roundup. There's a few players. There's only 4 players to talk about, 2 from within one club, so we're talking about that. We're going to be talking a little bit around Romero and potentially his future being tied to Ange Postecoglou's. We're talking about Mbuemo and Eze, and obviously quite a bit still to talk about in those regards. So plenty to get into and talk about. Obviously, there was as well a members only video that went up last night, which will be going up tonight for the non-members surrounding Fabio Paratici and his time at Juventus whilst in charge. And it makes for grim reading and grim viewing. So that'll be out this evening, about 7 to 8 p.m. For the rest of you guys as well. Morning Spurs, Steve. History, Graham, Sonia, Bosco, Liam, Chris, how are we all? Look, I think obviously we were all hoping this week to get a bit of an answer on Ange, his future, the situation. You know, we're going into really the lead up to the first part of the transfer window. Obviously, we know there's a very small break between it and then it reopens for the main window. But we were all really hopeful of an answer really early this week. You know, we don't want to be falling behind in the transfer market. You know, Man United have signed Cunha. There looks like they're trying to sign Delap, but Chelsea might be getting Delap. You know, I think that probably means that Gyökeres will end up at Arsenal. But, you know, Arsenal have signing Zubimendi. Manchester City are active and trying to, you know, they're looking at Aït-Nouri and Gibbs White. Liverpool with Florian Wirtz, Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong. You know, a lot of these teams are doing really, really early business. So the mic scratchy. Why is the mic scratchy? Should we have a look? Is that any better? I'll continue on anyway, regardless. But we obviously in this situation are falling behind. And I did kind of sort of bring this up that if you are moving on from Ange, it's still a bit scratchy. You spend hundreds of pounds on these things and they don't seem to work. What's the point? I might as well talk to you without a bloody mic. Right, hopefully now that should be a little better. If not, I'm going to continue on anyway. All right, so tough. But look, when we obviously think about it, you know, if you are going to be moving on from Ange, and there's a situation where that's going to take time to come to a decision, and therefore your transfer business is going to be delayed. Because if you do move on from Ange, then the new manager is going to needs time to obviously, you know, come in, see what he's got, see who he wants to keep, go through some decisions, and that's going to take at least a couple of weeks. You're 2 weeks behind, and then you start moving. You end up 3 to 4 weeks behind in total, which, you know, we love feeding off scraps in the transfer market when we're European champions and there's an opportunity here to launch into the Champions League and to be able to fight. And it's for me a worrying sign. But let's talk about the article itself from Alistair Gold. He had said that there isn't a decision expected this week. A part of it is down to people going on holiday. Well, surely there'd be a conversation to say, maybe let's just wait to go on holiday for a couple of days. Let's get an answer. And then on Wednesday, we'll go on, people can go on holiday. And obviously, like people like Johan Lang and those guys have a holiday in March, have a holiday in April. You're at work now. The transfer market's here. You're at work. You're at work now for the summer. Go on a holiday in September afterwards, okay? This is where you have your impact. The biggest impact that you can have in the season are the 2 transfer windows. Let's make sure we're, you know, working through both of them. But it's saying, that because of the going on holiday. Well, Ange wants to stay. So if we have a decision, is that Daniel Levy wanting to bring back the power to him again? Is that what it is? Is this he's not sure on Ange? Well, if you're not sure on Ange, you're already thinking about getting rid of him. Now, the irony is he obviously is not very liked by the fan base. You get rid of Ange, you're definitely going to unite a lot more of the fan base against you. Even the people that are Levy out and Ange out, not much is going to change if you then sack Ange for them. They're still going to be Levy out. You'll add in the rest of them. So it is a little bit worrying. Now, there is a key bit of information in this article that says that the players are 100% behind Ange. Ange has retained the full backing of the dressing room, which is huge, by the way. That is huge. You look at some of the other clubs recently, not like of clubs normally in the bottom half of the table, more so the bigger names. When the manager has started to lose a few names of faith in the dressing room, they're gone within a heartbeat because it snowballs. Ollie at Man United lost a bit of the he started to lose some of the players in the dressing room. He was gone within weeks later. You start to think about all those Chelsea managers they've had. There was reports that, the atmosphere is not good. They were gone. Ten Hag lost the support of some of the dressing room. Gone. It happens. If you lose them, it's so hard to get them back on board because they're not going to want to run those extra yards that might make all the difference. It's like, why would I work hard for you? You don't respect me. I don't believe in your vision. So yeah, I mean that's a massive thing. If you've got the players backing, that's huge, especially if you've got the players backing of very, very large names. If you've got the backing of your main players, who their future, by the sounds of things, is very much tied to your future, that's huge. Now, the other thing when it comes to the transfer market that I was thinking about, and I kind of threw it out there as an idea privately, was you can still tell agents, you can still tell players, that we're going to look to keep Ange, right? Even though it hasn't come out to the media and the fans. As much as we may want it to come out, it's kind of how it works, right? It isn't shocking that we may know last, which, maybe it shouldn't be like that, but that's kind of happens in football quite frequently. The issue with that is players go, well, that's great and all, but it's not out there for everyone to see. You could change your mind tomorrow. And if I sign for the club because I'm signing for Ange or I'm signing to play with Christian Romero and you get rid of them a week later, that's a problem for me. It's a massive problem. So look, you're gonna be behind the eight ball now when it comes to this transfer market. I'm sorry. I know that Ange said that he wants to go on holiday and things like that. Part of me just kind of thinks, could you wait 48 hours, get a decision, and then go on holiday and enjoy yourself? Like, maybe I'm being a bit selfish as a fan, but I kind of want us to be really active in the transfer market early on because the earlier you do your business, the cheaper it's going to be, the more of a player pool that you can work with. And if let's say, I mean, Brian Mbuemo is going to be a great one. I'm going to be talking about him, but let's say Liam Delap was like one of our number one targets this summer. Well, you got Chelsea and Man United both working hard to get that deal done. It's all right. We'll come to the party in a week. He could be gone in a week. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that, we're going to fall behind the eight ball. We're going to have to overpay. And therefore, we're not going to be able to get as many targets as we want. Or we're going to go cheap on some deals. And it's only going to hurt us because they're not the main targets. And the main targets are already gone. And it is a worrying trend that is... It's a label that hangs around our neck as a fan base because we don't seem to move all that quickly. Let's talk about Romero. So Dan Kilpatrick saying that whether Ange Postecoglou stays or goes could factor into whether Christian Romero is willing to stay at Tottenham this summer as the defender is close with the manager. That's not shocking. We've all seen it in Germany, in Norway, in Spain, the last 3 away games, you can see it, the hugging, the the camaraderie those two have, but also at the praise. You know, both hugging each other, celebrating, jumping up and down with one another. These two love each other. You can tell in terms of manager to player, these two love each other, right? He is, you know, I know some people don't rate him, and that's each to their own. For me, I think Christian Romero is a phenomenal footballer, and we are light years a better team when he is in the team. And people go, well, he gets injured all the time. It's like, yeah, I mean, it would be nice. I mean, what I think now is having, you know, Danso is we don't have to play Romero every single game. You know, you could actually say, Christian, let's get you a rest in this game. You know, no, like, no offense. We've got, let's say, one of the three teams that have come up this week. We don't need you playing in this game. Get yourself a week's rest. You know, we've got Real Madrid in the week. You know, we've got not Dortmund. That's probably not a good one. We've got Leverkusen in the week, or we've got Paris Saint-Germain in the week. You know, we've got a bigger game coming up. You know, or we've got a big cup game, whatever it might be. Having quality rotational options will keep players fitter because they're not going to be playing every single game, and that's kind of the issue that we had this season. I don't think. The quality of rotational options in defence wasn't good enough. I also think Ange obviously didn't really trust Spence at the start. He then learned to trust Spence a little bit more, and then obviously Spence showed actually he is a good option to have. Therefore, you know, Porro was getting a little bit more rest, and Doggy was starting to get a bit more rest after the injury onwards, and they played better because of it. Danso came in basically early February, so I don't think it's fair to kind of put things on Danso at the start of that period for him. But having him with a pre-season, knowing Ange'S, all those things, I think Danso's going to take a bit of a leap next year in a good way. Again, it will get players like Romero rest. Obviously, Radu, we'll see what happens with Radu. It's a little while off now. He's still not going to be back for a few months. But let's see there. You might still need to add in at left centre-back. Davies isn't the sort of rotational option that you would want. So you need to add there. So Mickey hasn't got to play all that football. And then the drop-off isn't there. I mean, I did a video where we win 56.25% of our games when the main back four start together this season. If you actually add in the drawing side of things, you know, it's ridiculous the performance they have. If you factor in just winning that Chelsea game when we're 2-0 up, or just not losing, it's like 75% win/draw rate. It's a very, very credible bit of evidence to show that those four are brilliant. But behind them, we severely, severely lacked. And that's the key area. Add in behind them, those four will stay fitter. Those four will stay at a higher level of performance. You will benefit more from that across all competitions. Also, the other four, that if one of them was to get injured, you got some of the other four to go, yeah, we got Spence. Yeah, we got Big Kev, you know? And that's the key thing there is quality rotational options defense. I don't look at it as their backups. You shouldn't look at it as backups because that shows that these four aren't good. Look at them as rotational options. Look at them as hey, we'll be able to get them some good minutes this season. We'll keep these guys fit and they'll keep fit. You know, we always talk about, you know, the main four. We'll keep them fit. Well, also, if you're rotating, you know, with the options of two, the ones that you're rotating will also stay fitter as well. And everyone's level of performance stays higher for longer. We just didn't have that. That's a real key issue. But I mean, Romero put out a post, you know, and this is on Instagram, and it says, "Winners, we achieved what we wanted this season as a group, and that's what matters. And my name is a part of history of this beautiful club. I want to thank you all for love and support every day, despite everything. But I have no doubt, key here. I have no doubt that staying together led us to success. Key part." We must continue. This is the path. That is a guy who's not trying to actively leave, but that is a guy that wants Ange to stay. He wants, you know, investment into the first team of more experienced players. Romero wants to look at, you know, the rest of the squad and go, we're trying to compete, you know, and you know, I look at, like Caleb says, we're allergic to signing a left back. I'm looking at our left back going, we haven't signed a left back since Destiny Doggy. Like, that's a worrying trend. You know, you need to, you know, You need to get that left back in. I love Desi Dog. I think Desi Dog is a phenomenal footballer. I think he's one of the best left backs in the league, right? I've said it all along. I would love for him not having to play every single game, because then that level of performance that we have seen since the international break when he has played, you add that in. You know, you add in the idea that you've got someone else that can rival him for a starting spot, compete for a starting spot. That's what we want. We want competition. Competition drives success and higher levels of performance. So Ange goes, I will be honest, if Ange goes, Romero's gone. Just book it. He's not staying. And the whole talk about, hey, Daniel leaving the higher ups are going to be aggressive in getting a new contract to him to sign. Well, guess what? He won't sign that. If you remove Ange, Romero's gone. If you keep Ange, you've got a chance of Romero staying. You've even got a chance of him signing a contract. But just book it up as fact. He is gone if Ange is gone. And I've got a worrying feeling that if you do sack Ange, with the players who are all behind him and want to play for him, how many more are going to go, why would I stay here? We just want a trophy and you're sacking the guy. We just want a European trophy. First time in 41 years, you sack the guy. You know, 17 years since we last won a trophy. Like, was Mikey Moore even born when we won the Carling Cup? Like, a lot of those players will want to leave within that first team. And, you know, there's going to be some people that go, well, good, I want them to leave. They're not bigger than the club. That's not the way you should look at it, in my opinion. You should be looking at it going, God, that is a group that is unified. That's a group that wants to play together. That's a group that loves playing for this manager. Well, they're not going to want to play together because they're going to go, well, I want to leave. I don't care. I want to leave. You don't respect what we just did in the Europa League. And then people go, well, look at our league form and that, all that jazz. And, you know, I get it. But this is a group that is together. This is a group that wants to play at Spurs, but they want to play at Spurs because of him. And in turn, that because they want to play for the fans. I just really think, you know, if you get rid of Ange, you will alienate a huge amount of the fan base. You're going to alienate a huge amount of the fan base. You're going to get way more people with Levy out, by the way. Those Levy outers are going to get a massive chunk of humans, you know, joining that. And you're going to see the protests probably weekly. So Levy's going to be brave. If he wants to do this, he's brave because he's going to alienate a huge amount of fans. He's going to alienate that squad. He's going to alienate, you know, potential investors. He's going to alienate a lot of people just because he probably wants to hold on to a bit more power. He probably, you know, for him who maybe is worried about, you know, the anti-Levy shout, like keeping Ange, you're going to probably get a few more people off your back for a little while. You've got an opportunity this summer to obviously then spend some money. You're going to get a lot of people off your back. And look, how many centre backs come through as World Cup winning, double Copa America winning centre backs? Players, just think about players. Forget centre backs. How many people are going to come through as such? It's going to be super, super rare. Sorry, yeah, the mic. I think you might be behind. I believe I've sorted the mic. I don't know if you guys could tell me the mic is okay. Is everyone all right with the mic? I think he might be watching it from the start, hence why he's getting the issues we had at the start. What it was is I think I had like the stand pushed up against the wire. And I think that was causing some issues. So make sure it's all plugged in. But it looks pretty good back there. Nothing's there is still an issue, is there? I'll have to look at it another time. I can't, because if I start unplugging it, it's just going to cut my mic completely. It's a wire problem. Which one's my wire? I'm like a clown. I'm just pulling more and more wire. I'll have to have a look at it. I'll have to have a look at it another day. Apologies for the crackling. I'll have to look at it another day. I can't do anything about it now. Yeah, it could be the connection as well. It's all right. It's fine. But yeah, that's on Romero. There's a lot there with Romero to definitely be worried about. We we do need to be worried about that because even if you want Romero gone, are you telling me you want 10 to 15 players of the first team squad gone as well? Why would players want to dedicate their futures to this club if you're doing things like that? It's a real fine line you're going to toe because there will be some first teamers you move on from. And there is part of the first teamers that go, oh, that's gutting. That's my friend. But I get it. It's a business. But if you sack the manager who's won something, you're sacking the guy who has inside the stadium. You have a real support for Ange. He was at the stadium on Sunday. He knows how loud it was in support of Ange. Even though we just lost, they were all supporting him. It's a real fine line you've got to toe right now. So we'll sort of see. Yeah, I'll sort the mic out another day. I'll have a little look at it, test it out. It was fine last night, so I don't know what's happened right now. So we'll see. Kimburn he's just subscribed. Welcome, Kimburn. I have a glass of water. Cheers, my friend. Welcome. We've had loads of new subscribers recently, which is really cool. So if you are new and you haven't told me, you're welcome. Welcome along for the journey. Ange deserves another season. It's tough one. No matter what Levy does, I think a portion of fans are going to be seething. Yeah, but like those fans, right, are already Levy out. Regardless of what they do with Ange, they're already at Levy out, right? You've got people who are, I don't really like Levy, but I like Ange. If you sack Ange, you're going to get more people going from, I don't really mind Levy or don't like Levy to, right, Levy out. You get people that are pro-Levy probably and who are Ange in going, why has he done that for? And they'll be more so, oh, I'm not really on board with him. So, look, it would be a stupid decision, in my opinion. Even if you're Ange out, I mean, again, when people say, we should go get this guy, the only issue I have with that is it's going to take them time to get his style of play, his style of play across these players. He's going to get less time to get players in, less time to sell players. Would they give him the budget he would want? There's a lot more that goes into it than just sack him, get him, crack on. It's not FIFA. It's not me taking over on FIFA and signing someone within 3 minutes. It just doesn't work like that. Deals can take weeks and months. I mean, think of how long we spent on Dominic Solanke. That wasn't a deal that, you heard it to say that we're going to do it, but that was a deal we were working on for ages. I mean, Archie Gray, right? All of a sudden, deal agreed he's going to come do his medical. We were talking to Archie Gray for about a month to 6 weeks before that. So these are the deals that take time. And sacking a manager really does throw an absolute wrench in those plans because players are going, well, I was going to join because I like Ange sort of football and you've had some success, but what's the plan now? I've got some other clubs that are wanting me and I kind of know what's going on there. What's going on now? And then you go, and then they go, well, you're going to be a couple of weeks. I need to get my deal sorted now so I can go on holiday, so I'm going to go join this club because, I can get the deal done now and be it sorted. So that's what we need to worry about. You need to be wary of that because you will lose out on targets, I mean, people that say, Juventus has mentioned Simeone Inzaghi from Inter Milan. I think he is going to be signing a new contract. Inter would be foolish to get rid of Simeone Inzaghi. Foolish. But we shall see. We shall see. Caleb said he's worried about Parati's fingerprints being all over this. Potentially so. I mean, look, if Levy's giving Paratici all that power to do it again, I can't wait for, a summer of Gattuso, Fonseca and Nuno again. I don't think he has the track record to speak for this. And again, if you've missed it, I did do a video for the members last night. It's going to be released this evening surrounding Fabio Paratici's about 2.5 year stint in charge of Juventus and how he basically took them from being dominant in Italy. And by the end, they were just fourth. They were an all right team in Serie A, and they've never recovered since. So you want to be wary of what you're going to see in this video that I will release this evening for you all. So notifications on, you'll see it this evening. So there we go. Look, let's talk a little bit of transfer news because I've got a bit of an update surrounding a couple of players that we are interested in. And again, one of them is a club removing themselves from that sort of race. Another is an update on the race for a club to sign him. Okay, so a little bit of that. And yes, I still want to do a little bit of the loan roundup where I'm talking about Leyton Orient, Westerlo, and Espanyol, which I tell you what, let's do that now, get it done, and then we'll talk the transfers. All right. So Leyton Orient quickly. They lost in the League One playoff final away to Charlton, losing 1-0. Donnelly had a quiet game. Keeley probably should have saved the free kick. It's a tough one, but all in all, those two boys have had a phenomenal year loan out on Leyton Orient. I expect them to probably get a loan deal next year to a good, solid championship side with a view to adding them to the first team squad maybe the year after. But kudos to those two. Fantastic. We're going to do a proper loan roundup of everyone and their season, their whole seasons and how they've done. We're going to do that next week, all right? Westerlo, they drew 0-0 at home on the last game of the season to Stana Liège. Vuskovic not starting again. Interesting. That is interesting. And Alfie Devine did start. Alfie Devine played 75 minutes. Vuskovic came on in the 74th minute. Those two boys have both had a solid loan spell. Obviously, I know Alfie missing time through injury. And Alejo Veliz played minutes. It's rare. He's played minutes. He came on in the 53rd minute. And actually, they were 0-0 at Las Palmas at the time. And they go on to win 2-0, which is obviously great for them. And that made sure they are staying up this season in La Liga. And ironically, their win actually made them leap from 17th to 14th. So we nearly did an Espanyol for a period at the weekend. But there you go. A little bit of loan roundup. Happy days. Good to see those players do well. But anyway. Oh, Michael, we'll worry about that, mate. We'll worry about that. Moving on to a little bit of chance of flavoured news. I agree, Deborah. How can you sack him? Which manager would have done better with 12 injuries? Right when our chance window start. Where's that? Tell you what, why don't we do a quick poll? Let's do a quick poll. Let's see. Let's see. Are you Ange in or are you Ange out? Sack Ange, yes or no? Let's see what you guys think. I am keeping Ange. 100% keeping Ange. I would be worried what our summer will look like if we get rid of him. You know, I get that you can be unhappy about the league performances as an owner, not us as fans, but as an owner. But you also go. The other thing is, you know, Daniel talks about we got our Tottenham back and Coy's Daniel and all that stuff. If Daniel was to have a good summer this summer, right? Like we spend good money, we bring in some really good, solid names. People will accredit that Europa League trophy more so to him. They will. They will, you know. But season 3 is going to be better than season 2, and I have no reason to doubt the man when he's the guy that says, "Well, I win stuff in my second year." You know, he drops cold news all the time. You know, good lord. So yeah, we got to be wary of that. We got to be wary of that. Let's see the poll then. So I'm also watching a little bit of the tennis. You see. The Roland Garros. I do enjoy the Roland Garros, the tennis. It's very good stuff. Let's see. 87% think keep Ange. You know, Andy out. I'd get Andy out. Absolutely, get Andy out once and for all. I agree with you, Marshall. Get him gone. But there you go. Look, 85, 80, late 80%. That's alarming. That's alarming. You've got fan bases. Obviously, look. I'm a small creator. I get it. I totally get it. But like you are thinking, if we work off of that sort of, you know, amount and figure, what it would be like when you go and have a look at a larger amount. And to be fair, fan base wise in the stadium, that was a really pro Ange fan base that Levy was there to hear and see. And then Levy got booed. So there was that. I want Andy gone. Yeah, we'll start a trend. Andy out. I'm Andy, by the way. So if you're worried, I'm talking about me. There's other polls that are close to the 50-50 probably. Yeah, I mean, that can be infiltrated by others, can't it? Your viewers are far more considered. Another channel I had like 38% out, 68.2% in. We got a great community here. If you are new, it's a phenomenal community here, and you will very much be welcomed and love it because these are some good human beings. And he actually says a ton of stuff. He said the way we play, he wouldn't change. He also said we were going to challenge for the title. He said that 10th place in the cup was failure. Okay. Think about how you feel, Graham. Would you rather finish 5th and get Champions League football, or finish 17th and win something and get Champions League football? I'd take 17th and win something every single day of the bloody week and twice on Sunday, because how Wednesday made me feel is the best feeling I've ever felt as a football fan. Finishing 4th is like, great, we finished 4th. Cool. Finish 5th. Great. Cool. Oh, we won a European trophy. Oh my God. I am so on. Like I said to someone the other day, it's like, would you rather finish 2nd in the Premier League or finish 17th and win the Champions League every single season? I'd sign me up for the Champions League and 17th every season. Absolutely. I can still get Champions League football next year and I'll win a trophy. Okay, fine. You had a Premier League title shot. Wow, yeah, well done. You finished 9 points behind. I want a European trophy. That guarantees me Champions League football. I'm talking about the Champions League, obviously. But yeah, I look who finished. I look at Newcastle. I think, yeah, okay, they had a good season because they won something and got 5th. But had they not won the Carabao Cup, I'd want our season over them. Yeah. 5th is not a trophy. We need to get out of this mindset of the Arsene Wenger mindset that 4th and getting into the Champions League through that way is a trophy. We need to get rid of that mindset. Winning the Europa League is a billion times better. You know, speaking to people at the parade last week, speaking to people that you guys had seen me, they've gone, Andy, and it's like speaking to you guys, and it's just like the pure happiness that we all had with one another that day. I will never forget that day, that Wednesday and that Friday. I'll never forget those days. And I said, and it's really sad to say this for some previous managers, but Conte, Mourinho, and Poch, especially Poch, in 30 or 40 years' time, they will be forgotten. And I said that because there's nothing to show for their time. There was no trophies. There's no success. A Champions League football, great. You got to the final, but did you win it? People remember Liverpool winning it. They won't remember Spurs getting there. And that's sad to say, but that's kind of what will happen. You forget about nearlies. You just always forget. You always remember the when we did. People have got. Here we go. People have forgotten that Conte couldn't get through the Conference League group stages. People have forgotten that because you forget about the times you didn't do anything. I'll always remember tonight. I tell you guys a story. 17 years ago, when we won the League Cup, the Carling Cup, I think it was at the time. It was the day before my birthday. I'm 12 years old or whatever it is, 11 or whatever I am exactly. And I remember going around to my uncle's for his birthday because he's the day before me. I've got my Spurs gloves on. I've got my Spurs hat on, my Spurs scarf. I think I've got some of it here. Yeah, look. Things like this. Things like this. I remember this as the hat that I wore that day. I'm pretty sure it was. But it looked damn like this if it wasn't this, the scarf. Look, you see how dirty it is. It's so old. I still remember those days. And around there, they got the heating on. I'm sweating. I am absolutely sweating. But I refuse to take them off because we just won the Carling Cup and I was the happiest. I was the happiest boy on earth. Wednesday trumped that. And that's how I'll always remember it. So, yeah. I know, by the way, Graham, you're not having a dig at me, mate. I get it. I totally get it. But it's just how I view it. So, there we go. Anyway, moving on. Is there a trophy down there too? There's a trophy up there. I know that, but not down there, no. Here we go, actually. Oh. Tottenham gloves. I wore these that day. Like you can see, they're a bit frayed. The actual logo on them, that is frayed. In the fingertips, you can't really see it, but it's frayed. All these things. I remember that. I remember Juan de Ramos. so well because of it. You know, it's sad, I know, but you'll always remember those big days and Wednesday and Friday being at the parade with hundreds of thousands of people. Like there wasn't a place that you could stand without someone standing right next to you. You know, being in the pubs and the heaving and you know, just it was a mosh pit for miles. You remember that. You'll always remember that. You know, I wouldn't take Poch back. No, I wouldn't, Peter Pan. I wouldn't. That's in the past. He's been gone 6 years. I felt for him. He deserved more at the time, but we move on. He's also not leaving the US setup as well. So that's my view done. Enough about Poch. I'm not talking about Poch anymore because he's gone. He's no offense, not relevant right now for us. Talk about Ange and the boys right now. Moving on, let's talk a little bit of transfer news. Starting off with a bit of Eze and Mbuemo from Graham Bailey. And there's actually a few different sources talking about this. And Fabrizio Romano's someone as well. I mean, Fabrizio Romano said that and Eze and Mbuemo is on United's list, but it depends on sales. Not easy. Okay. We should then go, right, I'm going to slide you out the way. We've got money. You're broke. Let's go and spend. But also, Graham Bailey put out that the club believes Mbuemo's versatility would make him a valuable addition to Man United. They're also considering Ryan Cherky for the position, who would cost half of Brian's price. So, look, this is the key thing. And I wanted to bring it in that even though it's Man United, it does affect us. You have two players who it's on the list, we are linked to, especially Cherky more heavily recently. Like, we need to be wary of, you know, the longer we take with this Ange situation, right, the less power we're going to have in the market to get our more top name, let's say the bigger the name on the list. Now, if we want Cherky, right, then you need to sort Ange out because if we want Cherky and Man United want Cherky, Man United go, look, we've got a week ahead of Tottenham right now. You know, Newcastle might go, we want Eze and Mbuemo. Well, if we want him, we're going to be a week ahead of Spurs. Let's go do it. We're sitting there going, Ange's on holiday, and Daniel's on holiday, so we'll have a chat next week and we'll get it then. It's like we're a week behind. The market opens this Sunday. You know, I will be real. If we don't have an answer by Sunday, that's appalling. That is absolutely flat out appalling because the market would have opened. You needed to have an answer by the market at least opening, which I think is already a little bit too late anyway, but you needed to know. I get sleeping on it for a day or two. Not a problem. Like, if they came out the answer today, cool. Like, not a problem. You've taken some good methodical time. You've gotten a good methodical answer. If you're leaving it all the way back then, none of you know what it is that you truly want, which is it's another worry. Is, you know, it's Ange going, well, there's not enough money to spend to get us back to where we want to be, but also competitive in trophies. Is Daniel going, you want too much money? You know, there's all those things that come into it, but having, you know, won the Europa League last Wednesday, for it to be 10 days, 11 days later that an answer comes, that's actually, my opinion, poor. It shouldn't take that long because losing on Sunday, in my opinion, changed absolutely nothing. Okay, you finished 16th, not 17th. It changed nothing. You know what I mean? So it shouldn't take that long. You know, it shouldn't take that long. Hell, it should, you know, even when I said, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday, it's like, you know, it's not great, but it's taken a week to get your answer. Unless he was going to sack him and he's heard all the fans, he's heard all the love from the players and he's gone, actually, do I sack him? It might not be a wise decision. Maybe that's changed his mind potentially. I'm just, you know, spitting, you know, ideas out there. But again, if you want Cherky and you want, you know, Mbuemo and Eze and Gueye and all those things, you need to be hurrying up. The longer you leave it, the worse it's going to get. You know, it's like having a library book and it's overdue. The longer you leave it, the more you're going to get charged. You better just to return it that day, get the fine gone, and move on. You know, you want to return an item to a store. Well, you've got 30 days and you're at 27. The longer you leave it, the less likely you'll be able to return it because you're running out of days. Get it done. you know, and that is my worry. That is a real big worry for me. I talked about Nicola Ravella, by the way, Marshall, in the Paratici video. You're going to want to, again, later tonight, bell notifications on. You'll get the video later tonight, and you're going to see Paratici signing for Juve. There you go. So look, a lot that goes into it. We need to be worried. But Brian Mbuemo is definitely someone that we're linked to. And I would say we're behind a few other teams, even Man United, that need to raise funds to be able to get him, are going to be ahead of us in this list right now because we're sitting on our thumbs and we're sitting on our backsides. It's great advertising for later. You know me. I should work in marketing, shouldn't I? Ridiculous. Janice, how are you? So look, we'll see. We'll see. Talking about a little bit of Eberechi Eze flavoured news. And again, a guy that we are heavily linked to. He's going to have a market this summer. And again, when I talk about the other players, he's going to have a market this summer. And we need, if we want him, be active, because people go, yeah, but he has a release clause. Yeah, but Crystal Palace are more likely to negotiate the structure. They might say, we still want that 60 odd million, right? But all right, we'll talk about structure for you, because obviously I know the release clause is bound as the idea that you pay a lot of it up front, right? They might go, let's get it done in a few installments. Brilliant. More appropriate for everyone. They still get their money. Grand, right? So for me, Eze's my guy. If you, by the way, like, if you're wary of, Eze's the number one guy that I want this summer, okay? So Florian Plettenberg has put it out yesterday saying that rumours linking Bayern Munich with Eberechi Eze are currently wide of the mark. Bayern are no longer looking for number 10 due to Musiala staying. They'll be looking at a high-class left winger, which I think they really, really do. Bayern, that left wing position is something they truly struggle with. But also, I think striker, need to add in a striker, and maybe centre-backs. I think Heung-Min may be moving on. So Bayern are in for a fascinating summer now. I think apparently Florian Wirtz's money was there as a special amount of money for Wirtz. It's not there as a whole, you know. Let's see. We won the Europa League, qualified Super Cup, Champions League, equivalent to finishing top finish. What a terrible season we've had. And it seems you want a confirmation from Levy that Ange'S staying. Do you think that's likely? Gun to my head. Is he staying or going? I think he stays. Everything that he said at the parades and in interviews recently, the players coming out in support of him, you know, the players having the support of him as whole, Romero being, you know, very vocal supporting him. Yeah, I think, you know, he's won a European trophy. He's won a trophy as a whole. I think you have to give him a chance. You have to. I think they were set on him going. I think they were set on him going, and then he won the European trophy, and they went, oh, crap, that's put us in a bind. And then they've heard all the fans in support of him, and they've gone, oh, no, we're in a bind. I think they were going to sack him. But because he's won a European trophy, they won't. Well, they can't, really, if you think about it. They can. But the after effects of doing that is going to be mental. It's going to be like something that it's going to be like an Armageddon kind of vibe. And the only way they'd get around it is by spending money they've never spent before and by a lot, and they won't do that. Be wary. If you make the bed, you've got to lay in the bed. That's what I'm going to say. And look, you look at the situation, it's a worrying situation for them as well. You know, you're not going to make everyone happy, but I can tell you this, you're going to make a lot more people unhappy by removing him, and you're going to get a bigger protest, and you're going to get it weekly. You're going to get Levy out chance at every single game. You're going to get a lot of hatred, to be honest, you know? So you've got to be careful. Got to be careful. Same scenario as Erik Ten Hag. Different, mate. Very different. Ten Hag and Man United and Spurs are different clubs. You know, they win things more religiously. We don't. There's a huge difference there. You want a European trophy. Man United are, you know, double-time Champions League winners. They've won trebles. in the space of the last 2 decades, right? They've won Premier Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups, competing in Champions League finals. They've won a Champions League actually in that time as well. Competing in Champions League finals, competing in Europa League finals. Like, they are a different team. Like, I compare us on paper in a few different areas, but in terms of like his situation to Ange's situation, 2 very different things. Erik ten Hag, even though he's won an FA Cup, will be forgotten about in 30 or 40 years. He will be. They remember Sir Alex, right? They'll remember Jose because Jose won a Europa League, League Cup, and Community Shields. He won a treble. They'll remember him. They will completely forget about other managers that have been around in 30, 40 years. Ange won't be forgotten. Ange will go, he's the guy that won a European trophy the first time in 41 years. The third time we've won the UEFA Cup. He won't be forgotten about, We pay our dinner ladies, they don't. They sack their dinner ladies, So look, there's a lot there, I think. And obviously I know you guys are all having a lot of discussions in there. It's between you guys, but my views on it. But on Eze, like I said, if you want Eze, the earlier you come to the table, the better it's going to be, the more likely it's going to be. Another season on, Palace haven't sold anyone. If you do it before Palace sells someone, you've got a chance. If you wait till Palace have sold someone, Palace are going to go, well, that's the release clause. Pay that. If you want him, you pay that. Whereas if you do it before then, Palace would go, yeah, all right, you don't need to pay it all up front. Let's get a structure, maybe over a couple of different amounts. Maybe it's 20 million here and 20 million there and 20 million there. And you go, oh, we can stomach that. That's a little bit more feasible. That's kind of the issue. If you leave it until they've sold, like Mark Guay, for example, they're going to go, well, we sold Mark Guay. We don't need to sell. We've got European football revenue coming in next year. Like, you've got to be careful if you want him, Graham, I will be steadfast. The 2 situations are violently different between Man United and Spurs. Maybe on paper, they want to sack the managers. Winning an FA Cup to Man United is great. Well done. You finished 8th of the FA Cup. What does that do for us? Oh, you got Europa League football. Okay. We're Man United. We're one of the biggest clubs ever in football. Even with crap loads of debt, we still turn over this much and still can spend, 400 grand a week nearly on Casemiro and pay hundreds of millions of pounds every single summer window, and we do not care. You also then factor in, let's be real, how many of those players actually really got on with Ten Hag and like Ten Hag? I can probably put all my money on saying not all of them. A big chunk probably maybe did, but there was a good chunk that didn't. Spurs, on the other hand, have won F-all for 17 years, no European trophy for 4 decades, and the players love the guy. Very different situations. Also, the cost of sacking Ten Hag rocketed, and then they had to get Amorim. It costs tens of millions of pounds to do that. It's not going to cost that with Ange. It just isn't. So that's why I'm saying they're very, very different situations. Our squad is prime for upgrades, absolutely. Poch did win when he had Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe in his team, to be fair. Yeah, it's not a bad front 3, is it? The issue is they didn't really do much work defensively. So, so it is what it is. But yeah, anyway, more of your comments there. You converse with one another. I'm elsewhere looking at other things, all right? But look, I think Spurs are in for a really fascinating summer this summer. I think you see these articles like there remains a chance Ange can stay at Tottenham. Of course there's a chance. Of course there's a bloody chance. He's won a European trophy. Of course there's a bloody chance, I think, the other thing, like I said, I'm going to keep reiterating is the longer you leave this, the worse it will get. And I'm not even talking about us as fans, by the way. I'm actually not. We are horrifically irrelevant in this situation in regards to players coming and going. You know, like I said, sack Ange, Romero's gone. See you later, mate. Understands that he loves him. He wants to play for him. You sack that guy, he wants gone. You'll be getting rid of probably your best player, right? So fine, Romero's gone. I would probably say Bentancur's gone as well. Your number 6, pivotal in terms of success we had. He will go. I would say probably Son's gone as well. You obviously there'll be other players that are going to go regardless, but there are players in that squad that are here for Ange, and they're the bigger name players. Mickey van der Ven loves Ange. You want him to be here long term? Getting rid of Ange is not going to help that. But he's got years left on his contract. You know. So, do you know what's hilarious? It's so long people were like, oh, Mad doesn't like Ange, and Son doesn't like Ange, and, you know, oh, I don't think Romero likes Ange. And it's like, you mean within that leadership group, those 3 and Vicario, who are all, you know, die on a hill for Ange, they don't like Ange. That's a weird way of showing that you don't like someone, by the way, with hugging and laughter and you know, constantly cracking jokes with one another. It's a weird way to show that you don't love someone. When if I don't love someone, I don't do those things. Like I said, you will you will I would expect an exodus if Ange goes, because those players want to play for him more so than want to play at Spurs. That's the irony. That might hurt some feelings. You might be devastated with that news. You know, you've got journalists who are consistently trying to cause divides in this fan base. You know, oh, this player doesn't like playing for Ange. Really? Said player who is jumping all over him and hugging him and laughing with him. God, if that shows he doesn't like him, Jesus, the world of football and the world as a whole is knackered. Because you go to a friend's event and you hug your mate, well, you mustn't like him. You mustn't love him because you've hugged him. That means you don't love him. You know, oh, you laugh at each other. That means you don't love each other. You know what I mean? Some of I will be real. Some of the reporters in and around Spurs this season, I think, have truly embarrassed themselves with how they've behaved. It's been embarrassing. The questions that they ask, naff, the attitude they have towards Ange, I think is, you want to talk about arrogance. I think there's a serious level of arrogance there, you know. Ten Hag was hated by his players, to be honest, for quite a large part of that time. Ange get another top job. Well, look, you're a European winner. If you're a European winner, you're going to get a good job afterwards. Question, Andy, wouldn't the issue of having to buy players for a new manager of Ange is sacking mid-season be reduced if the players we sign were top? Well, look, the better the players that you have, the better the team performs, right? That's a correlation that fits with one another. You still have to buy players for the system. And I think that's what some people who do want Ange gone are saying, look, if you do give him the summer and he's gone by December, right? You've bought players for him. We've always talked about, you know, if you buy players for a manager, the next manager may not suit those players. You're then setting that manager back. That's kind of what they're talking about. But, you know, there you go. Who's the clown now? Exactly. Clowns look pretty weird when they win things. We've got players that are something so out of the ordinary that Marshall, you all right? Fair enough, mate. As much as I love the Premier League, I've never seen a league with so much gossip. Yeah, I tell you what, being a Man United fan, it's every day there's stuff coming out. It's players and their attitudes. It's players that you're signing. It's the debt that you have. It's Amorim who does, you know, 2 or 3 media interviews a day. Watching United sound Mark Goldbridge, like they never run out of content. They've got unenviable amounts of content. When it comes to me, like for example, Paratici, when Paratici's in charge, for me as a content creator, unbelievable. Because I can make 3 videos a day on the stuff that comes out of Paratici. Johan Lang's a bit more difficult. He makes my job harder in that regard, which I don't mind. But you know, the Premier League is constant because it's the biggest league in the world, of the biggest sport in the world. Like it's constant. It's endless amounts of eyes on the league. I mean, think of it this way, right? I watch the Pat McAfee show. I love Pat McAfee. I watch his show every single time it's on. Starts at 5 p.m. UK time, right? Perfect. Stick it on. It's about 3.5 hours. They have former NFL player JJ Watt, right? JJ Watt, great pass rusher, one of the all-time greats of the NFL. He is an investor in Burnley. So they talk about Burnley every week. When JJ comes on, they go, "How Burnley getting on?" He's like, "Hey, we won at the weekend 2-0, and that's the championship." And they're talking about that on one of the biggest shows on YouTube and on ESPN. So that shows how massive football is. And the Premier League being the biggest league in the world, teams in, all across the world will talk about Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup. That'll be talked about across the world. Happy none of our players fell off the bus. Oh, there's someone holding on to him. Paul, brilliant pod, mate. Loving your candid personality. Prices. Well, Paul, thank you for the lovely comment. It makes it all way more worth it when people don't hate me. I've had a few choice comments over the time, which I think responding to those people with a joke always levels them out a little bit. Someone called me like an effing idiot, and I was just like, "Hey, call me an idiot, but was the swear word necessary?" And they were like, "No, probably not." It's like, hey, come on. You can call me an idiot, not a problem. Dropping an expletive in front of it, it's like, is it necessary? No. I've argued the Premier League is not really the English league, but the World League. Jeremy, you're probably not wrong. The thing I like about Ange is that he seems to move in silence. The only thing was last January with Lang, it was very loud. With Tell, with Disassi, Kola Mawani. It was very loud in January. Very loud. It's raining in Melbourne at the moment. Oh, fuck, bloody hell, Peter. I think it's been raining here today as well. That's what I meant. If the players are really good, the next manager would have less difficulty initially. Such should be the signings we make is what is meant. Well, look, Ange said that we want experienced players, and it doesn't mean players that have played, 10 years top flight football. It could just be they've played 4 years, and that's what he wants. He wants players who have had some top flight, experience, even if it's a couple of years. It's different than someone that's brand new. And that's what he's trying to say. Deciding which manager have dictates which players you'll buy in the summer. Wrexham through Netflix and Sunderland through Netflix, you're an effing nice guy, Andy. No, with Aussies, if they drop you, if an Aussie drops a swear word in front of something for you, it's normally a term of endearment. Being out in Australia and someone going, mate, you're effing priceless. Normally, that's really rude. In Australia, I was like, well, thanks very much. Here, I'm like, whoa. So, but for other people, if they call me an effing idiot, it's normally not good, is it? Appreciate Marshall. Yeah, no Casemiro contracts, absolutely. Paratici charged over other financial malpractice and is currently awaiting trial. Chris, obviously, obviously you remember, did the video yesterday, didn't I, on Paratici that came out last night, which will be out for others today. He has sent Juventus into a spiral downhill about their financial situation, and some of the signings, you are going to be shocked by some of the signings he made and how bad they were. Qualified for the Europa League in the first year, won it in the second. Now qualified for Champions League. I mean, what WTF? That's not too bad, is it? Every 2 years you win a European trophy? Oh, sign me up. Where's the piece of paper? Let me sign up to that, So we'll sort of see. We'll know more this week. And let's pray that it is ASAP if possible. If possible. I thought I saw something on Man United's finances that would make sense for things that we've talked about so far. But yeah, we'll sort of see on that one. But look, let's pray it's this week. Let's pray it's as quickly as possible. Let's pray that The moves that we are going to make are quick, are effective, and we don't dilly-dally. Let's not try and win every single negotiation. Top teams don't do that. Top teams go, you want this guy? Let's go get him. We go, does he want a voucher for the Skywalk? Does he want a voucher for the F1 go-kart track? Just saying. How the FI are, Andy? Pretty good, Judy. How are we? So frustrating that Leddy can't decide if he wants to keep Ange or sack him. Feels like we'll miss out in the market because of uncertainty. Well, look, he does. You are delayed. You can't go full gas into the market when you've got question marks in very important places. Can you imagine if Ange stayed and won again in 2 years? We'd be there. The civil war going on within the Spurs since Sunday is insane. We were unified for 3 days, and that was the best 3 days of being a Spurs fan, was it not? The irony is this community, for the most part, stayed unified, even with losing at the weekends. I think we kind of worked out that if you've been on a 3-day bender, you're probably not going to be great. And if we win a European trophy, they can go on a 3-day bender afterwards. I do not care. We should be trying to persuade Mbuemo to come. Again, Francis, if you haven't got the manager sorted, you can't persuade anyone. You can't. Because they're going to go, well, I like the idea of joining Tottenham, but who the hell is the manager going to be? What's the plan? And we're going to go, we'll have a bit of a plan next week. Well, I want to get my move sorted. The quicker I get my move sorted, the longer I can enjoy my summer, and also I can prepare better for the season ahead. And that's you got to be wary about. You got to be worried about it. Let's just win every week, every competition we enter. Not hard at all. Easy. It's easy. Tell you what, on a Tuesday late morning, 127 of you are watching this. Bonkers what YouTube can do, isn't it? Bonkers. Surprised kept up 45 minutes, absolutely. Brian Mbuemo signed for Newcastle United. Ray, I'm not sure what you mean, mate. Is Levy not seeing the opportunity to sell the rights for season 3 to Netflix? No, he's probably too far in bed with Amazon after the one that we had, the All or Nothing. He also probably looks at the All or Nothing and goes, yes, it was great money. The situation post that is not good. I don't think the fallout was great from that, Ange deserved to know his future before he left on holiday. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you won the trophy on Wednesday. Sunday should have changed absolutely nothing in regards to winning that game or not. If you finished 2 or 3 places higher, you still finished in the bottom 6. It's going to change absolutely nothing. Winning Europe changed everything. Okay, that's Wednesday. Maybe they went, look, we're going to get to the end of the season. Decision we made on Monday. Fine, not a problem. I think he was gone if he lost the final, right? I do. I think he was gone if he lost the final. He won the final. That put a wrench in some plans. But then they should have gone, he's on the, okay, well, let's spend a couple of days thinking about it and make a decision on Monday. And then I genuinely think, and this is my God's honest truth, I think being at the stadium, they heard the fans and the love for Ange. They see the parade on the Friday and see the love that the fans have for Ange and the players. And they've gone, I don't know if we can sack him. And if we're not going to sack him, got to spend the money. It's 8 p.m. in Adelaide. Well, there you go. There you bloody go. Season 3, the quad is on. The quad is on, Dragon. Dragon, I hope you enjoyed the video I posted last night, mate, by the way. 100% Australian with a crazy name. I know how Ange feels. Not how you feel, just how you get back up. Always great content. Thanks very much, Janice. Thank you very much. When is next director's meeting at Spurs? It should be bloody now, but doubt it. Are Spurs auditioning for a soap opera series on Netflix? No. Mbuemo's Man United bound. They've got to sell some players. Gittins, that's gone quiet. But then Bayern Munich wanting a left winger for next season, Gittins could be that guy potentially. But we'll sort of see. Would you view Eze as a wing or 10? Same as for Turkey. I think versatile. Versatile is kind of the big things there. I think Turkey, screw it. Play anywhere. Play him left back. I don't care. Get him in. Nothing says thanks for winning our biggest cup in 40 years like crickets. Coys Daniel. If they're not going to sack him, I don't understand delay in saying so. Yeah, that's what I mean. You'd have thought they'd have had a meeting with Ange, I don't get it. I do not get it. All right, I do not get it. Quick look on some other bits and bobs. Oh, Dortmund have got a new sponsor. That looks lovely. No, nothing really. Nothing really. Giving the ties between the Ajax manager and the Paratici quitting the team. If they sign Farioli and Paratici's got the power, this club will fall apart, in my opinion. Fan base will completely turn on all of them. The people that are like pro Don Fabio Paratici will completely turn on Paratici. They'll be chasing him out of the club. And Farioli is going to come into what I would say is an erupting volcano of hate. I genuinely believe that. Farioli, a guy who when we talk about bottle things, right? You have to have had the possession of a good, solid possession to have won something. He was 9 points clear with 5 games to go in the Eredivisie as one of the biggest clubs in the Eredivisie. So in reality, you should win probably 3 of 5 when you're Ajax, or at least win 2, draw 2, something like that. They bottled that league title. I don't want him. And if Paratici wants him, I don't want Paratici. There you go. I'll say it out loud. I don't want him either because he hasn't got a Scooby. And also, putting the power in Paratici with appointing a manager was great when he had that summer with Fonseca, Gattuso, Nuno. It was a diabolical summer, and it was an utter failure from him. No point in sacking Ange'S players. I'm too loyal to him now. But one way or another, announce it and get on with business. They got to get on with it. Don Babas. They got to get on with it. Heard the new Spurs anthem, Believe. I don't know if I'm missing something, mate. I think Ange'S already an idea. He's safe, so no need to say. Yeah, but then it's, you got to... Right, let's take that, Jozzo. It's a good shout. I talked about it earlier. You have to be able to tell the people that you're trying to recruit to come and join the club and players that Ange'S here. We haven't announced it. Ange'S here. He's not going anywhere. But then they'll go, yeah, but how can I trust you? Because it's not out in the media for everyone to hear. It's not out, when you talk about, you're at work, right? And you're having a bit of a back and forth, and you're having issues with your manager. And your manager will always come and speak to you on the phone or face to face because there's no paper trail. There's nothing that you can use against them. It'll be my word versus their word, and the manager's going to get their side taken. Whereas if there's an email with things in there that you're unhappy about, you stick it to a separate folder and you can go, I'm unhappy about this email. Look what they said to me. So that's the issue. If you put it out into the media and you put it into the stratosphere to say, and you're staying, that's where you can't turn your back on it, So there you go. Practically overrated. Paul, later this evening, wait for the video that I'm releasing on Paratici this evening because you're going to see how bad it got at Juventus. How do you English get your failures inside the bottle? There you go. Paratici is a crook. That's come from someone else, not me. I'm not saying it. I'm not getting in trouble. Not getting in trouble. Don't want the Ajax guy. No. Would I take Rashford? No. With Levy not backing Ange's statement or before he went on holiday as a sign that Ange's a goner. I don't think it's a sign he's a goner, but I also don't think it's there's a sign that he's definitely staying. But if Ange's gone on holiday, Ange must be thinking, I expect to say, and if they sack me, it's going to look worse on them than it is me. They don't. No, Ange wins finals. If he gets into a final, he doesn't bottle them. He's good in a final. Thoughts on Son staying? Why not? I'm happy with him staying personally. So we'll sort of see. But look, some really good stuff there. I am very much looking forward to the next sort of, I'd say 2 weeks. Like the next 2 weeks, you would think there's going to be some people leaving and we're going to be selling and things like that. I'm looking forward to that. But we'll see on that side of things. Obviously, the Brit Cameron Norrie's winning in the tennis. That is a shock because he's shite. No offense, but we'll see on that side of things. I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna go and watch the tennis at the Roland Garros on clay. I'm gonna watch that. Thank you all so much for watching this afternoon or morning or evening wherever you are in the world. Later today, Fabio Paratici video out tonight that you're gonna want to watch and not miss. Make sure you keep out that. But I'll speak to you all later. Talk a lot more about Tottenham Hotspur. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your days. Peace.